मैं वंदना आप सबका यूपीएससी टाइम में स्वागत करती हूँ। आज की वीडियो में हम एनसीईआरटी हिस्ट्री क्लास 8 का चैप्टर 4 द चेंजिंग वर्ल्ड ऑफ विजुअल आर्ट्स पढ़ने वाले हैं। पिछले वीडियो में हम 3 चैप्टर कंप्लीट कर चुके थे। आपको वो 3 वीडियोस चैनल की प्लेलिस्ट में मिल जाएंगे। नाउ लेट्स स्टार्ट द चैप्टर 4। In the intro, a lot of changes came in the world of the visual art during the British period in India. Colonial rule introduced many new art forms, style, material, and the technique which were creatively adapted by the Indian artist for local patrons and the market. The technique of the oil painting, which was a new thing for the Indian artist, was also introduced. The European artists chose varied subjects for their painting, but they never missed to emphasize the superiority of the Britain. Looking for the picture queue. Picture queue landscape painting was a popular imperial tradition. Thomas Daniel and his nephew William Delian painting within the tradition. Portrait of authority. Portrait painting was another tradition. The portrait were life-size images that look like and real. It became very famous. As a result, many European portrait painters came to India in search of the profitable commission. One of very famous portrait painter was जॉन जोफैनी। इस तरह से मतलब बहुत टाइप की पेंटिंग होती थी जो मतलब कुछ एक इंडिया में भी आए थे ताकि वो ज्यादा कमीशन ले सके, जिसमें से एक था जॉन जोफैनी। ओके, मैनी ऑफ द इंडियन नवाब who began commissioning imposing oil portraits by the European painter. What is a painting history? The category of imperial art is known as the history painting. His traditional so to dramatize and recreate various episodes of the British imperial history. British victories in India provide a rich material for history painter in Britain. These paintings once again celebrate the British, their power, victories, and the supremacy. What happened to the court? In the Mysore, Tipu Sultan registered a traditional associate with them. एक second. Wait. Yeah. The category of imperial art is known as history painting. This tradition sought to dramatize and recreate various episodes of the British imperial history. British victory in India provide a rich material for history painter in Britain. These paintings once again celebrate the British, their power, victories, and supremacy. What happened to the court of artists? In the Mysore, Tipu Sultan registered traditional associated with them. He continued to encourage local tradition. The court of the Murshidabad, we see a different trend here. After defeating Siraj ud-Dowla, the British had successfully installed their puppet Nawabs on the thrones of the court of the Murshidabad, encouraged local miniature artists to absorb the taste and the artistic style of the British. It means क्या हुआ कि जो ब्रिटिशर्स ने क्या किया, अपने पपेट बना के लगा दिए कहाँ पे, जहाँ पे किंगडम होता था, राज्य होता था एम्परर की जगह, जैसे सिराजुद्दौला का यहाँ एग्जांपल दिया गया है। ठीक है, एज अ ब्रिटिश एस्टेब्लिश देयर पावर इन इंडिया, सेवरल लोकल कोर्ट्स लॉस्ट देयर इन्फ्लुएंस एंड द वेल्थ। यानी कि लोकल अपनी वेल्थ कम करते खोते जा रहे थे क्योंकि ब्रिटिश अपना एस्टेब्लिश करते जा रहे थे पावर। दे कुड नो लॉन्गर सपोर्ट पेंटर एंड पे देम टू पेंट फॉर द कोर्ट। एज अ रिजल्ट मैनी पेंटर टर्न टू द ब्रिटिश हु वेलकम देम। ब्रिटिश ऑफिशियल हु फाउंड द वर्ल्ड इन द कॉलोनी different from that back home wanted images through which they could understand and remember their life in India and depict India to the Western world. There were also a painter who were not associated with any court. New and popular Indian art painter who were not associated with any court developed a new world of popular art in many of the cities of the India during the 19th century. In the Bengal, around the pilgrimage center of the temple of Kalighat, local village scroll painter and the potter began developing a new style of art. They moved from the surrounding village into the Kolkata in the early 19th century in the hope of the new patron and the new buyer of their art. Before the 19th century, the village patus and the potter had painted mythological theme and the produced image of god and the goddess, but the images were not realistic and lifelike. After the 1840, the painting on the social and the political theme were began produced called as the Kalighat painting. It's an important many asked in a prelims exams. Many of the Kalighat pictures were printed in a large number and sold in the market. By the late 19th century, the mechanical printing were established, which allow print to produce in a even large number and become accessible for the poor too. Middle class Indian artists also set up the printing press and produced prints for a wide market. With the spread of nationalism, popular prints of the early 20th century began carrying nationalist messenger. Photographing of India. The images of India were produced by photographer too. European photographer traveled to India and took pictures, set up studios and established photographic society to promote the art of photography. The search of national art. Toward the end of 19th century, the painter began to develop a style that could be considered both modern and the Indian. The art of Raja Ravi Verma. Raja Ravi Verma was one of the first artists who created such a modern and the Indian style. He mastered the Western art of the oil painting and realistic life study, but painted theme from the Indian mythological. They broke away from the conventional of the oil painting and the realistic style of the turn for the inspiration of medieval India. Traditional of the miniature painting and the ancient part of the mural painting in the Ajanta cave also influenced by the art of Japanese artists who visited India at that time to develop an Asian art movement. After the 1920, a new generation of the artists began to break away from the style popularized by the रविंद्रनाथ टैगोर. इट्स मीन्स क्या हुआ कि इस तरह इट्स नॉट रविंद्रनाथ टैगोर, इट्स अंबानींद्र नाथ टैगोर. ये इस तरह से हमारा ये चैप्टर कंप्लीट होता है. अगर आपको इस चैप्टर से रिलेटेड किसी भी टाइप की क्वेरी या सब्जेक्ट से रिलेटेड किसी भी टाइप की क्वेरी हो तो आप कमेंट बॉक्स में पूछ सकते हैं. और अगर आपको वीडियो पसंद आए तो वीडियो को लाइक करके चैनल को सब्सक्राइब कर दे ताकि आने वाली वीडियो की नोटिफिकेशंस आपको टाइम पे मिलती रहें. थैंक्स फॉर वॉचिंग द वीडियो.